Welcome to another week of Anime Tier List. I go over the most recent episodes of fall 2025, rate them based on how much I enjoyed it. Let's talk about some shows that were obviously dropping. So, there's already, I reset the tier list because there was a bunch of different stuff we were doing before, but of course, Sanda's dropped. It's really unfortunate what happened with this anime. Like, I straight up think that this had so much potential. Science started with cooking with the production value, but the story, I guess, just didn't hit. This anime, also unfortunate, right? The AI anime, I think that it's also another really pretty looking anime, but it really goes to show, like, it doesn't matter how good your anime looks. If the stories and the characters are not compelling, people don't care. I had no issues with this one. It's just not too much interested. Pretty lightweight project. This one was copyright issues. This one also, people just didn't give a fuck about the Yuri stuff at all. What else is there? Rama, just the lack of performance. It's just really disappointing. People said that, oh yeah, we're here for you. But remember, I don't care about what people say. You got to look at how people behave. So many people will be like, yes, keep White making those videos. Yes, we love those videos. But it's just like 5 people while I'm neglecting like tens of thousands that's waiting for something else. What else has been dropped? Gatherers. It was just so beyond mid that I was like, ugh, I just can't. And I think that's where we left off with the dropped animes, but we have new rounds of dropped animes. So Campfire Cooking in Another World, it's dead. And it's so unfortunate, but like, again, just because something's dropped doesn't mean it's a bad anime. It just means that I just don't have the audience for it. We look at Campfire Cooking in Another World, you know, viewership, it is just sad. It's so sad because like season 1 stuff, I remember back in the day really did carry me a lot. Like these kind of viewership, like 10,000, 11K back in 2023 when I had nothing going on. That was huge, man. But man, this anime truly just suffered from sequel syndrome so fucking hard. Like what happened? It's just dead, bro. 2,000 after, 200 likes barely. Look at the viewership. Do you understand how bad this is? It's basically like, again, the more that you make videos about a topic that no one cares about, you just die as a channel. So you got to be very careful and cognizant of like, what do people care about right now? I'm sure that it's doing well in other people's channels, so shout out to Fishes Anime. You guys can go watch it over there. What else are we dropping? Sister Anime. This is, yeah, I think that this also, back-to-back episodes, the stuff that happened with Mahiru's, like, I think that was her name, the silver hair girl. Her development was nice, but the most recent episode was so beyond, I guess, boring to a lot of people that they just don't really care about it. What really, I think, caught a lot of people's attention was obviously the bait in the beginning of, oh, she took a fucking shit. Oh, this girl is a predator, the teacher, haha. But notice how the viewership just steeply declines after that, and now it's just like 174 likes. Notice how the view is actually kind of higher compared to the ratio compared to here, 241, 2698. And the reason for this is obviously, the title of this video is called Breaking Into Friend's Sister's Room. This episode was so fucking beyond boring that I watched and I was like, this is gonna kill the show. And yep, it was the death of the show. It is what it is, but again, this is how it works. Every new season, it's so easy to do well. We're not shadow banned, we get a new boost in viewership, everyone's checking out the first week, but you have to realize that again, most people drop out, right? What's the graph? I always show this one. It's always like this. It's so easy in the beginning, but most of the viewership, like in the beginning, it's always like this. But this is what happens, right? This is the, you know, like week, like 1, 2, 4, right? And after about that 4th week, this is when you realize, okay, this is actually the true people that's sticking around to watch. And this baseline is also very important. If this baseline isn't performing well enough, gotta cut that shit down. That's just how anime reactions is in a nutshell. All right, let's talk about shows that are actually rateable. So Twisted Wonderland, first episode, not bad. Not good. Great, maybe. I thought it was a really beautiful looking show with a lot of potential. The thing that was kind of off-putting to me was the amount of characters that they are and how they try to give us a little bit of each, but I couldn't really connect to any one of them because there's so many characters and obviously they want to give each people like a spotlight to shine. So that kind of went over my head, but I still see like there's potential here for greatness. Love the Disney themes and how they're like villain incarnates. Magic Academy setting, but with the isekai anime, voice acting, soundtrack, the overall like art style. It looks great as an anime. Hopefully that it's going to continue to do well. And surprisingly enough, we did hit the Twisted Wonderland audience. We did hit the Twisted Wonderland audience, hitting 7K. Obviously, again, I just told you, right, that the first episode of anything, it's gonna do well. So will this show actually survive? The thing about an anime like this, especially when we're shadow banned, notice how there's so many subscribers coming in, and the issue for that is because this is not my target audience. Look at this, right? When we're shadow banned, to have this type of ratio is unprecedented. So this is a case of my community doesn't give a fuck about it. And look at the viewership too. It's like Summer Hikaru all over again. 63% female, yeah, fucking right. So there's a lot of tourists that have never seen my channel before that's finally getting these videos. But the issue is, what's gonna happen at this point? This phase, right? It's gonna, like, tourist shows that gets carried by tourists really suffer when interest dies down. So there's a chance that this fucking bombs really hard. But while we have it going, I'll keep going. I'm glad I enjoyed it, and hopefully, you know, the people will actually continue to watch it too. What's another episode? Okay. Gachakuda, I think, was fucking peak. Straight up. We'll leave it here for now, and I'll promote the peak shows later. Gachakuda Zanka backstory, I'm sure a lot of people might feel like they got robbed, just like how Zanka got robbed. Like, you did a whole backstory and bro still fucking lost. But to me, the subversion of expectations actually was so shocking that I have appreciated it more that the author had the balls to do that. Author's a woman, by the way. She's so based. And the backstory, I don't think, was wasted. You added in the whole, you know, this performative, pretentious faker who thought he was legit, but in the light of true genius, he sunk into his shell, and the whole character development of sinking to the hole, literally his rock bottom, engine pulling up, giving him mentorship, and then, you know, the rise scene, the soundtrack is building up, the focus is on the well, and the hand climbs up, and I was like, holy shit, that was epic. And then for what? For Zanka for Jabber to emote on him. And it was like, wow, it's shocking, and it takes, I think, it's truly like respectable that they would do all this foundation and then to pull the rug from underneath, and for me to still be like, you know what, that was a fucking fantastic episode. Still peak. Loved it. Tojima Kamen Rider episode, what was it? It was a fight. We got more backstory stuff. Just a good episode. It was a good episode. The villain pulling up was kind of interesting. I don't know how to feel about the V3 guy. They're really cringe. That's the whole premise, right? It's really cringe, and they had the whole fucking romance stuff going on too. While I marry, we'll see what happens there. It was a good episode. May I ask for one last thing? Also good episode. Just starting a new arc. Immediately punching the shit out of fat cult people. Some interesting plot happening with Diana, with her powers losing and going away, and the conflict of religion. Want to see more with the pink girl. Who Made Me a Princess? Pretty chill episode. I wouldn't say it's mid, but definitely it's been kind of falling off in terms of interest lately. I think what really carried this show in the beginning was the tragic comedy and like the affection for Papa, and you know, our emotional. It's like an emotional tug at our hearts, right? And that isn't really happening anymore because that's been obviously developed. And now we're trying to do a little bit more with the actual story of what's going on with like the different timelines and Jeanette and Ezekiel and introducing new characters. So it's a bit of like a transitionary period. Still a good episode though. Classes Hero. Most recent episode was what? It was mid. It's fine though. It was a episode where we go visit home and we visit mom and dad, and you know, Reiner pulls up and Reiner is gonna be told to become a fucking wife, become a housewife. It was an enjoyable mid-episode as we get ready for the Magic Academy. I think the Magic Academy is gonna hit. I think it's gonna be actually really fucking peak. Banished Court Magician was a good episode. I liked that a lot actually. I really enjoyed the dynamics of the shitty-ass prince and the reflection that he had, even though he is doubling down on the shittiness, which I actually think is more reasonable. Like, the guy crashed out, but at the end of the day, he's very aware of how mediocre he is, and you know, against the main character. Love the, you know, the Kotomi Nakide voice actor guy, you know, just being his like chaperone, just shitting on him. That was pretty fun. The fight regarding Loki and stuff in the beginning. Again, meaningless fights against bosses, I don't really care. But again, it's such a pretty looking show with the story, I think, really interesting. I like it. Assassin Isekai. So this is a weird one, huh? Production value is like Greater Peak, right? Like this anime, it looks beautiful. Like the fight against the elf girl, like, oh my god. But the story is actually retarded. And now I'm questioning the author's ability to write a story. I'm like, should I have my expectations lowered? Like, dude, I would still put this. I'll still put it great though. I'm still gonna put it in great because it was so ridiculous, the story. All at the same time, it's still pretty fight, great. Love the romantic development, but the actual logic of how the elf father erased the sister's memory in fear of trauma, but that is the thing that actually causes the sister to hate the bigger sister, and she did a memory. Like, what? What is... What? I'm like, this story is stupid as fuck! Still enjoyed it a lot, and it looks pretty, so I'm gonna still put it in great. I will, but I was just like dumbfounded. I was like, what just happened? Alright. Strange Grief episode was Arnold, you know, Arnold still going through it. Went to the Night Palace and kind of got traumatized. Cry and friends are at the hot springs. It was a very chaotic episode with like setting stuff up with the antagonist. Didn't like it as much as the other two episodes, but I'll still put it like here. I'll still put it like here. It was still a good episode. I enjoyed it. Reincarnator. Dude, this shit's peak. I still think I enjoyed Gachakuda the most this week. But Reincarnator drama, this is a fucking soap opera. Oh my god. And someone commented in the video that like, because there is no fantasy fighting bullshit, that this is peak. And I was like, you know what? You're right. This anime is peak because of the way that the drama, the N-tier drama, the family drama, the marriage drama, it just keeps compounding. And I'm just like locked into the story. The dialogue is, you know, very the dialogue is well executed with the background music really hyping up the scenes. It was like the moment where Ellen's talking to father about the nature of, you know, humans and spirits and how she's not going to give up, right? That scene was actually pretty good. Like the direction of this anime is amazing. And when I say direction, what does that mean? It basically means the ability for the anime staff to translate the source material, the story, and to make it more than a one-to-one frame for us to actually become immersed into it. There's a lot of different ways to do it. The thing that this anime does well, I think, is not necessarily the crazy perspective shots, the different storyboards, but the soundtrack. The soundtrack and the voice acting and the transitions that make sense. Great. Fucking peak almost. Chitose, Ramune bottle. I gotta put it up here too. Amazing episode. Probably peak episode. The, like, Chitose, like, basically, like, fighting on behalf of Kenta. Like, bro. Kenta not backing down and confronting his quote-unquote friends and reminding himself of the lines from Chitose and to fight back. That was great. And when Kenta basically got catfished by a dude where he's like, that was me, Kenta. I was the one sexting you the entire time. I'm like, what the fuck? And then Chitose pulls up. You know, and Isaka pulls up, and sorry, the Yuko or the other girl pulls up the blonde girl, and it's like, damn, flex on them, bro. And it's just a great episode of development and dialogue that, you know, centers around being true to yourself and not caring about what others thinks of you, right? So the Kenta arc, I think, was solid. People say that this is like the worst part of the story. It's boring. I found it very fascinating. I'm just like really locked in onto the dialogue and the perspective of the edgy teenagers. We're going into the Nanase arc though, but there's a lot of issues with production, and we're going to have a month hiatus after this week's episode. So yeah, I think it's GG for this anime. We'll see if people give a fuck about this in December, but it's an anime that is executed by production. Mugen Gacha episode was good. I think this was a solid episode where we're flexing the magic, we're saving the kids, a lot of slice of life moments, some setup happening, you know, with the shitty elves. The humans are becoming experimental subjects. And I think the kids are up next. That girl, that Mia girl, good God that we gave her the bracelet of wishes, but you know she's gonna get fucked up next episode. Hopefully Light can pull up and save the day. Genosha? Let's see. Was it a great episode or a good episode? Genosha is also still very engaging. I think that I was a bit taken aback by the mechanic of, oh, the loop is happening because it's not about beating the game, it's about 100% in the game. You want to know all the different knowledge about the game because the looping thing, the time travel, the regression mechanic, it's like a living life form. It's implanted in us and it wants more content. Learn about that. We got a new girls coming in, new characters coming in. That's pretty much it. Just kind of like a, I want to say it's a chill episode, but it's like a slower episode that kind of answers more questions about why we were looping. And now the game is going to be different because now it's like, we don't have to necessarily beat the game. We just care about getting most knowledge out of it. Wild Last Boss. Most recent episode. That's peak. It's peak. Yep. It was. Fantastic episode. God damn, the animation is pretty. The fight scene against Libra. Holy shit. There was like even like an emotional moment of, you know, Libra guarding this place for so long. She's broken down. Her skin is all cracking. And Rufus, you know, ends the battle by saying you did well and heals her. I loved it. The NPC dialogue, you know, of the other adventurers thinking they were hot shit was pretty funny. Dina is still sus as fuck. Just an overall explosive episode with pretty animation and a good conclusion for this arc. And then we go to the next one. And finally, One Punch Man. Straight up, it was mid, bro. It's like, I talked about this in other One Punch Man videos too. It's like, fuck. It's so awkward. And there's a comment which honestly baffles me. It actually does baffle me. If I go to published and let's go to responded, right? Where is this? This one right here. I made a video covering a subreddit post talking about how One Punch Man Season 3 is soulless. This guy's like, I didn't think so. The episode was perfectly fine. Perfectly fine is crazy. If you're playing with perfectly shit, then I guess so. People are just overhating? No, I don't think so. I think that you are overly protecting this shitty episode. Like, I've been from the beginning trying to look at this in the most objective way possible, and this episode was really not it. The last episode had major pacing and directing issues, but this episode I genuinely was decent. I don't think you have an understanding of what pacing and directing means if you think that this episode was actually decent. Still some bad directions. It's not bad directions. The entire episode is not like connecting. Every single scene, the awkward cuts, the weird ass transitions, it just makes it so blatantly obvious how fucking bad it is. But it's not that crazy. Of course, One Punch Man deserves more than just average, but realistically, for what the project is now, this is as good as a non-action heavy episode can get. Again, no, I think that you're delusional. Like, I literally watch so many fucking anime. I watch not just the peaks, but all the fucking mids too. And even I can tell, after watching all these different fucking animes too, the pacing is so weird. I think Reincarnator is a perfect example as a comparison, since it's both done by JC Staff, but different production lines. This, again, doesn't have crazy animation. But how does it carry? The story is great, and the direction is great. The ability to have dialogue and for it to seamlessly transition and for us to be immersed into it is why I'm placing it here. When I'm watching One Punch Man, it's like everything is like taped together in a very like fragile way with like scotch tape. Each single scene, and like the slice of life moments too, it's so fucking awkward. And the worst part about this is the slice of life scene should be the part where they just get free points. Because again, this team doesn't know how to do fucking action other than that Kenichi Aoki guy. This team, the director, is all about slice of life and all these scenes, but they can't even cover that basis. So now you're fucking up the free points that you should be just solid getting in order to prioritize the fight scenes that's already mid. It's just like, you're gonna get shit on regardless, no matter what. But fuck, at least deliver on the slice of life stuff. And so many people are also like arguing that like, no, this is like a 1-for-1. They're still in the apartment after 4 episodes. It's like, an anime doesn't need to do that. The anime can make changes such that they can make things more concise, cut stuff out, and think about the anime audience different from the manga audience that can just simply read ahead. This argument that like, oh, this is what the source material was, you know, you guys are complaining over nothing. No, you don't understand what an actual adaptation or like direction means. It's just a bunch of stupid people that have no understanding of what anime is because their depth of anime is watching like a show every other season. And you know what? I don't like blame you. Like, I'm not gonna expect you to watch seasonal content like me. Like, if I wasn't doing this as a fucking job, right? As much as I call this a hobby, let's get real, this is a fucking job. Content creation is a full-time career. Would I watch all these episodes by myself? I don't think so. Maybe if there was somebody that made these episodes bearable to watch, and I think a lot of people actually do watch my reactions first pass rather than actually watch the episodes themselves because they can't be bothered to, for sure. So I understand that, but at the very least, if I can give you that leeway, you need to give me the fucking base minimum respect that like, I know what I'm fucking talking about. I'm watching so many fucking episodes. And here's the thing too. I don't think episode 4 had much direction issue. Again, I just explained to you everything about why it has direction issue. You just say, nuh-uh. At least compared to the last 3 episodes. No. But you liked episode 1 and 2. Yes, episode 1 and 2 again was way better. The transitions, the slice of life, and the story elements surrounding it was way more fun. I go into depth and give you actual like fucking feedback in detail. You have nothing. Like, did you not listen to why I said episode 1 and 2 was fun to me? It's because it's a brand new season and we're getting started on a new hype arc. The setting the stage of season 1, like episode 3, episode 1 was really hype, showing all the different characters. The transitions and cuts were choppy, but it was not this blatantly bad. And we were all hoping that by episode 2 at the end, that the fight scene, the potential that we saw was hype. That's why first 2 episodes was actually really fun to watch. Episode 3 onwards, you finally see the curtain rise and the fights are fucking mid. In episode 4, the slice of life is falling apart and we had very minimum fight at the end. So like, I don't understand why you think that like this is an actual like gotcha, like dunk on you. You have no actual understanding of the opinions that I had. You just fucking hating because you're like a stupid fucking delusional One Punch Man fan. It's crazy. Episode 1 transition is so much worse than episode 4 though, and you know what? I don't think so. I think episode 1 transition was extremely better. I think the story elements also fucking carries, and if you want to prove me wrong, go make a fucking video essay about it. But I guarantee you, ain't nobody gonna listen to your fucking opinion. So fucking cry in my fucking chat all you want. It's crazy. These delusional fucks. Episode 5 Copium is gonna be crazy though, because like the fight scene, right? Starting from now on, it's just fights. And like, what kind of fight are they gonna give us? You think it's gonna be peak? Maybe it's gonna be in the like you can cope really hard, and maybe it will be. But here's what I think is realistically gonna happen. Considering that they reuse the pre-animated fight in the Insect God and Royal Ripper fight, I think that what the standard of the fight will be was the ninja fight. I don't really have any hopes that Kenichi Aoki has been cooking from behind the scenes and has these amazing fights ready to go. If what we saw in that trailer was what we got with a little bit extra for the Insect God fight, and if we and for the new stuff, it's like the ninja standard. And again, the ninja fight doesn't really matter. It was like a fucking warm-up fight, right? It's not a priority episode. So we just really don't know, right? So I just hope that it's not gonna be on the standard of the ninja fight and it will deliver on that pre-animated trailer levels. I think that is presentable enough, even though it will never be enough to actually satisfy the audience. Now, let's promote some shows. I think that Gachikura Jenny was peak. So was this. I think that these animes, again, amazing develop. This is just like peak slice of life episode and really hype fight scenes. And this, my god, the backstory and stuff, the subversion of expectations, just beautiful fucking writing. Honestly, probably should drop this down. Honestly, probably should drop this down here. If this didn't have pretty fucking animation for the fights, this shit would be fucking here for the fucking story, bro. You know what? I'm just gonna put this here just for fun. But still, I enjoyed it. Anything here that should be dropped down to mid? Low-key Princess Might, it's getting kind of boring right now. Even though I can't, even though the story's getting kind of boring, it's just that there's limited amount of content. You know, it's a very short episode, but it's kind of like struggling right now. I think these were good episodes. I think these were great episodes. You know what? I think this is going to be my tier list for this week. Next week's going to be very interesting. Next week is going to be brilliant. One Punch Man, not trash. I still have so much like bias for it because again, this is like my biased subjective opinion about the show. The story is still so fun to me that I'm just going to put it here. This was just like mind-blowingly stupid. That's why I'm putting here for a meme. Anyways, that's it. See you next time.